The meeting will now be officially called to order. If the board does not mind, we would like to move a couple of agenda items to the beginning. We have some recognitions that we would like to do. So, board, would you all please leave the dais and let's step down and recognize a couple of our young ladies.
Good evening, trustees. As you well know, in May 2023, the NISD Board of Trustees was chosen as the 2023 Outstanding School Board in the state of Texas in the HEB Excellence in Education Awards program. The award is designated to recognize school boards that have demonstrated real leadership in the community that it serves. In recognition of this award, HEB presented the board $25,000, which trustees, you determined would be used to fund a scholarship to assist NISD students. As a result, the Northside Independent School District Board of Trustees Future Teacher Scholarship was established in 2024 to assist a graduating senior who plans to attend the college or university of their choice to prepare for a career in the field of education. 2 recipients were selected from the completed applicants, and each recipient will have a scholarship in the amount of $2,500 sent to their designated college or university. Tonight, we will honor both of those recipients. The first of those recipients is Gabrielle Chacon. Gabrielle graduated from Health Careers High School and will be attending the University of Texas at Austin. From her scholarship application, Gabrielle writes, "The qualities that make my mother an incredible teacher, I believe, will help me to make a great one as well. By pursuing a career in education, I aim to influence my future students' lives, empowering them to grow into adults who will change the world. Perhaps one day I can be an inspiration to one of these little ones, just as my mom has been to me." Gabrielle is joined this evening by her mother and her sister, and I'm not sure if her father made it, but her mother and her sister are here. Mrs. Chacon. Congratulations. The second recipient this evening is Lauren Warwick. Lauren graduated from Brandeis High School and will be attending the University of Kansas. As shared in her application, becoming a special education teacher will allow me to make a meaningful impact, helping students navigate their educational journeys with confidence and dignity. I am committed to being the advocate and friend that every child deserves, ensuring that no student feels alone in their struggles. And joining Lauren this evening are her mother and father.
So what do we say, go Jayhawks? Rock Chalk Jayhawks. Rock Chalk Jayhawks, okay. I talked with her grandma. Oh, yes, 100 years ago. Your mom. Yes. I talked with her. She's my daughter's 4th grade teacher at Leon Springs. Yes. Yeah.
Gabrielle, we want to get one more picture. Congratulations.
We forgot to tell you, you have to come back and work in Northside.
Yeah, they have to come back and teach in Northside. That's the key. She's so They have so much money. He's a very successful doctor, and they have family money, and she's But I guess it's, cool.
Very proud.
Very nice.
Congratulations. And you're more than welcome to stay.
I'll get the email. Okay.
I'll get the meetings.
Future school board training too.
Yes.
That was so fun. Future teachers. Dr. Kraft, it's all yours now.
Yeah, it is really special to be able to celebrate, especially future educators during this day and age. I'll go ahead and jump to my report, if that's okay. And I know, like I said, we have a Student Health Advisory Committee report as well. There's a lot going on, needless to say. We had very successful, 13 to be specific, graduations. So thank you again for your support and engagement. We graduated just over 7,000 seniors. So pretty phenomenal. In fact, it was 7,024 to be specific. Not that I was counting hands that I was shaking, but this year the graduating class of 2024 also earned right at $194 million in scholarships in the aggregate, which is pretty phenomenal. That's up about 13 million from the previous year. So it's great to see our seniors celebrate with their families, and like I say, for us to be able to acknowledge their hard work, and of course the generosity of those that donate to scholarships this time of year. We had a great Reddick celebration. This was the transition celebration. We celebrated about 60 students as they were working to transition to the next phase of their life. And so once again, very different celebration, but also as memorable, especially for family members that were able to attend and be there with us. Congratulations again to our very own Vice President, Ms. Corinne Saldana. She was also graduate. She graduated a little bit different graduation, but she's now a Master Trustee through Leadership TASB, and so congratulations. I know that was a lot of work. We talk about volunteerism. We talk about, you know, the number of hours that trustees put in, but this was in addition to Northside. Several trips, I believe, to El Paso, but really just working to hone the skills of being a truly phenomenal board member. At the Summer Leadership Institute, our very own, I know he's not here, but Bobby Blunt was also acknowledged as his receipt of the James B. Crow Award through TASB, so we're really, really proud. This is the Innovation of Governance Award, and it's I think it's been awarded about 3 or 4 years now, but I can tell you this in my conversations with trustees and TASB employees at the Summer Leadership Institute, I don't think that there was a single individual that doesn't know Bobby Blunt. It's really pretty phenomenal. Very, very highly respected. We are going to, we've conducted a walkthrough of Chumley Elementary School, and we were able to have Miss Chumley and family out. We're going to have another walkthrough, so we're working to schedule that. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting close. In fact, Leroy told me just today that it is going to happen. We're further along than we were with Reed Elementary School, which of course we just opened last year, so it's coming along. So like I say, if you'll start kind of looking at calendars, I think, Monica, you're going to send out some proposed dates, and we're going to try to get
Yes, we've already
Chumley
sent those
Elementary
down.
School
I think we're
walkthrough.
narrowing it down to sometime in July. We've already spoken with Leroy and some of the board members.
Perfect. We'll be kicking off at the Activity Center tomorrow with our Support Leadership Institute. Of course, this year with not only everything associated with our meetings and preparing for the upcoming school year, we're going to be celebrating 75 years of tradition and history in Northside. It will be our 75th anniversary, so pretty awesome. We're excited, like I say, to have our support leaders in the district tomorrow. They've got a full agenda with I think some great professional development opportunities ahead of them. Customer service, overall leadership. I'll kick it off at 8, addressing the group, and then, like I said, I have the opportunity to choose, like many conferences, some of the areas that they'd like to focus. Speaking of convocations, mark your calendars. The 13th and the 14th, we'll be back at the sports gym. We're going to do 3 per day, so we're changing it up a little bit. Rather than 2 over the course of 3 days, we're going to do 3 over the course of 2 days. Did you get that, Ray? That's really complicated algebra. Sports gym. The theme will be 75 years of excellence.
75 years.
Yeah, so 75th anniversary. In fact, I've got kind of a sneak preview of the logo that I'll pass this down, that we're actually starting to utilize, and that'll be our theme. So we're pretty excited about another great 2 days of convocations. And just a reminder, you probably received this in your email today. We have our Rising Stars production. This year will be Willy Wonka Jr., so if you're available and free and want to see some students perform, it's at John Jay's. It's at obviously the newly renovated / constructed auditorium at 2 o'clock. So should be great. And it's free. Yeah.
There's an art show at 1 o'clock.
Yes, prior to.
Prior to, that's phenomenal.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
Yep. And then I think we do have a video moment, if you don't mind making the time. This is one that I think you'll really enjoy. School PE classes have certainly evolved over the years. Cholon tells me just how quickly and how much it's evolved all the time, being a PE teacher, from dodgeball, jumping jacks, climbing ropes. So this month's video moment shows our students at Meade Elementary School having some fun during PE class, utilizing something called blaze pods. This should be really entertaining to watch and witness. I had to learn about blaze pods myself, but it helps them with the reaction time, communication skills, and also decision making and collaboration. So with that being said, I think we have the video maybe queued up. And welcome Meade Elementary School and blaze pods.
There's a lot going on in the Meade Elementary gym. Call it organized chaos. Now, it may look out of control, but trust me, there is a method in all of this madness. And it starts with these little lights. They call them blaze pods.
So blaze pods are a way for reaction training. In this game, we're going to see who is the fastest. We're going to see who communicates the best.
Coach Vanessa Trevino says they're quite literally a game changer for physical education.
There you go, there you go.
The flashing lights challenge kids to improve their quick thinking and decision-making skills.
Run, touch their colors. They had 1 minute to complete the task as a team. Whoever had the most hits was our winning team. Team Red, you won that one.
This is just one of many different challenging activities Blaze Pods have to offer.
They already have pre-made games, but they allow you to customize on their app. So the sky is the limit. It doesn't matter what languages they speak. It doesn't matter what classes they come from. It's just the way that it unified us all.
It's like a sport, like when you run, and it helps you like work with other teammates.
10-year-old Situla Hamza says he and his friends can't get enough.
I actually like this game a lot, and because it's a lot of fun, and you run a lot.
2, 1, and go.
It challenges their young minds and their bodies.
Yeah, at the end of that, we get a little tired.
Trevino says all this running, laughing, and learning is thanks to a grant from the Northside Education Foundation, or NEF. Organized chaos, a moment of fun, a time to learn, and a place to come together.
For me, the best part of Blaze Pods is seeing it bring us together as an actual campus and community, and these kids just really engaging with each other.
Mr. Trevino obviously has a lot of fun, very passionate, but congratulations to both she and Meade Elementary School. That looks like a lot of fun. I'm sitting here thinking that looks like Tron. Y'all remember the movie Tron? In real day. Who would have thought it? So, Madam Vice President, that concludes my report unless there are any questions
Thank you.
from the board.
Board members, anybody? Ms. Trustee Duran?
I just want to congratulate once again the class of 2024. Don't forget to register to vote and exercise your right to vote now that you're 18 and becoming an adult. So congratulations to you. I do want to give a shout out to Ariana Robertson from Clark High School for the under 18 USA Women's Basketball Team, and they're winning the FIBU under 19 AmeriCup. So that's basketball. Congratulations. That's a lot of work. I think the folks that they were competing against, I think were much older. So it was just a tremendous win for Northside and that USA women's team. Also, congratulations to Mateo Lopez. A week ago, he received a proclamation again in our Commissioner's Court for being the youngest mariachi from San Antonio. So that's really cool that they're honoring him, and now he's getting all kinds of requests to perform and to be hired. So we're gonna have to hire him if he's available while we have him, right? And so congratulations to all of you. We attended the TASB conference actually a week ago, I believe. And that's always a great learning experience to be here in San Antonio with all of the trustees from all over the state of Texas, and it was nice to be together and to be with my new colleague here. It's his first TASB, but not the last. So thank you all. Have a great summer rest, and we'll see you in a month.
Anyone else? Trustee Harrell?
So, real quick, I do want to say congratulations to Corinne, because that is, Bobby and myself have participated in Karen. And that is a year where you spend 3 days away from family and you travel, and but it's did I say 3 years?
Three years.
Not 3 years, 1 year, but 3 days away from your family 4 or 5 times a year. And but you learn so much about our state. And I think the big takeaway is how much more we are alike than we are different, and how there's so many courageous volunteers, whether they're school board trustees or the Northside type families that they get to work with. It's good work for kids, and so it's just reassuring that I think it'll buy Corinne another 10 years on the board just because of the energy that it creates and the good work. So congratulations, Corinne. And so we have a special gift, but we're going to wait till Bobby and Karen are back, that we brought back from Fort Worth with us. So you'll have to be surprised. It'll be for everybody, a gift for everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, so you'll really like it. You'll really like it. It's going to be neat. So you'll have to come to the next board meeting to see what it is. SLI was great, because I think that's the other thing where I think it's important that the community knows that we're always learning. And this is 3 days of learning, and you give up time and work and family to go learn more and to be with trustees from all over, who you also learn from just in sidebar conversations or walking down the hall. And so it's really powerful. We do it a couple times a year, so really neat. I do echo the graduations. I think that's what we live for. Convocations to greet all the teachers and say thank you, and the custodians and the bus drivers and everybody who works for Northside at the beginning of the year. And then at the end of the year to say, oh my gosh, you guys have graduated, go off and conquer the world. It's just two of my favorite times of the year. And so, but the neat kickoff is with Nellie Reddicks, with the kids that are transitioning and their stories, and their life stories are phenomenal, and just how powerful they are, that we as the district, I don't know if you know this, but not all districts provide a Nellie Reddicks transition program. And so we fund that for our kids with special needs. And they're going off to live independently on their own or with some sort of assistance. So it's just incredible what that staff does. And so kudos to them. You kind of alluded to it, but trustees on Thursday, it's one of my favorite times to go here. This is the Title I middle schools in such a short period of time put together a magnificent play. And it's all aspects of the play. It's the set, the design, the acting, but then they also do art. And so all the art is there to see, and it's phenomenal. You will love it. It's at John Jay. I do want to say, and I'll send it to the trustee, I'll actually send it for Friday letter, on July 18th and 19th, Clarity and HEB are hosting a ClarityCon for 2 days. We do have Northside represented there. It's phenomenal sessions on students' mental health, trauma, all kinds of things, AI and kids, social media and kids, and anyone's invited. There's a fee about $300, but it covers 2 days and your food and everything else. And Dr. Ridgely, do you want to do any promoting of it? Is there?
Great opportunity for folks who aren't in the mental health world, who don't live in the mental health world, to get kind of a layperson's understanding of the mental health.
Yeah, it's really good. So I can't, that's on my get out of work to go do that list. So thank you. And thanks for having a team up at Harvard. I was down the street and you guys were doing all kinds of great things. And I love that the one quote that when I was debriefing with Jessica is that mental health is not a school problem, it's a public health problem. And schools are a way that we can help with that problem. And so, we do have a great whole child department that's working on it. And so, anyway, but July 18th and 19th. And then I love those Blaze Pods. I want to know if I could get on my phone and look at Amazon, but I could see my 10-year-old grandson kind of using it more as a sword. I don't think, but that looks like fun. Maybe we should do that for our retreat. We'll tell Bobby we're going to. And if you hear the board goes on a retreat, it's not a retreat. It's like all the things we didn't get to talk about or cover during the year, we try to cover in one day. So, but maybe that would be our team building. So anyway, thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Anyone else?
Thank you, appreciate it. Congratulations to the 7,024 graduates, right? It was just a fun time, to be there and to see their faces, as they accepted their diplomas. Personally, I was able to hand out diplomas to some students that I've seen grow up, in the community. So that was pretty neat to do. And then, of course, we had TASB connected, to the end of the week there. So it was, I was drinking water through a fire hose there that week, but it was challenging, but it was very rewarding. So it was a great experience. Corinne, congratulations, on your completion of the program. And also during the Texas Trustee Institute, you gave an outstanding presentation on onboarding and all the things. I mean, a lot of people really liked what you had to say. I've lived through it. You've been a great mentor, on the onboarding process for me. And again, appreciate it very much.
David? No? You're good? Congratulations also to the graduates, but there's a whole group of people that are behind the scenes doing a lot of work. And some of you are here. Thank you all for getting those kids in line, getting the schools ready to go, knowing when the timing's going to be. You all do a great job with that, so thank you for that. And I just want to thank the board because I had to have your permission to be able to take the class. It was intense. It was a lot of work. We would have to be there from 8 in the morning till 8:30 at night with just minimal breaks, but you stay there and you are working. We were in Dallas, then El Paso, then Corpus, then Katy, then Fort Worth, and it was 3 days at each of those locations. And every time I would come back, it was, thank you, Northside. We are so blessed. I saw some things that I felt like, wow, you know, we take it for granted in our district, but some of them have such a need. And we saw districts, very small districts, up to Northside being the largest. But it was, I think the most amazing part was on the very last day. I had one of the trustees from one of the smaller districts come up to me and say, "How do you keep up the passion for that?" And it was like, wow, I didn't even realize that I was I was being passionate, but I guess what they saw and what they heard. But it's like I told them, you know, this is all about kids. That was my passion to start with, and that's why I do what I do, and that's why, yes, I spent a lot of time doing this course, but it's so that we can be better. And we have 3 new trustees that 2 of them will qualify at the end of the year. And then we have a new one. So it's a great opportunity. It is intense, but you learn so much and you appreciate so much because of what we have and what some school districts do not have. There were some good things that I saw that I brought back to the board, but in all, it was just an amazing experience to be able to, there were 33 of us, and so you spend a lot of time together, and my phone is constantly beeping because questions come up and they always want to know, what does Northside do? What does Northside do? Can you give us an example of how you do such and such? Board operating procedures, oh my gosh, they really wanted to know about that. Finance, just things that, like I say, that we take for granted, they don't. So thank you, trustees. Thank you, Dr. Kraft, for giving me that opportunity. Okay. Moving on, we have our School Health Advisory Council annual report. Dr. Kraft?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to let Dr. Jordan introduce this item, and I think Mr. Crabb, and like I say, this will be your annual Student Health Advisory Council annual report.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Kraft. Just a reminder, the School Health Advisory Committee is comprised of board-appointed members. So each year we start kind of bugging you, which that's going to come soon, for you to nominate some great folks that you know who serve on this committee. The committee meets multiple times a year under the great leadership of Dr. Ridgely and Ms. Bowler, and they discuss all kinds of things that are related to coordinated school health. And so we are really pleased tonight that our parent chair, Mr. Richard Crabb, he's going to provide the annual report.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Kraft. The Northside School Health Advisory Council is made up of 22 members, 12 district staff, 4 parents, 4 community members, and 1 student. The student advisor was Robert Carollo from Clark High School. SHAC community stakeholders included Deanna Stansberry from the American Heart Association, Alan Mauricio from the San Antonio AIDS Foundation, and Ali Cantu from the Culinary Health Education for Families, chef. Caitlin Buller was from the Whole Child Department, continued her role as our district facilitator. The SHAC met 4 times during the 2023-24 year. The main task for this year was for members to finalize our triennial local wellness policy and plan and grow knowledge of from community resources to help with health education, nutrition, and physical activity. Our council had subcommittees that focused their efforts on 4 areas. Each committee member worked together to formulate and recommend ways to improve the health and wellness of NISD. So I'm going to go through the 4 committees. The first one was our local wellness policy, wellness plan progress monitoring, where we reviewed, discussed, and report on the progress for the district wellness policy. Our second was the physical activity and fitness planning, which focused on increasing physical activity and improved fitness among students. The third was the family and community engagement, increased parent involvement on campuses with community resources, reached out to NISD principals to create awareness plan and how campuses could use support, working with departments within NISD to help facilitate parent involvement. Our fourth was the social and emotional learning, SEL, where they created a plan to increase teacher awareness about SEL, continue to provide informational resource cards for teachers that were included in swag bags during the Be Well, Stay Well event, and provided additional ways to continue with teachers to provide resource cards. The detailed SHAC accomplishments were outlined in the SHAC table of activities, which is highlighted. In addition to our working subcommittees, we had separate committee that worked on the required triennial evaluation of the local wellness policy and plan. Personally, I am a proud parent of 3 Northside children. My oldest is in 11th grade at Communication Arts. My second child is in 10th at Insight, and my baby is in 7th grade at Zachary Middle School. As the parent chair for Northside ISD SHAC, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to represent the district. It was my privilege to oversee our council and serve as an advocate for the health and wellness of our NISD students and staff. Thank you.
And Mr. Crab, is this the second or third year you've been? Second. So we really appreciate your service. You're doing a fantastic job.
I wanted to reiterate that. Thanks so much for your volunteerism, because I know that you have some irons in the fire, it sounds like. So thank you, like I say, for being a supportive parent, and to all of the council members, we really appreciate, like I say, their assistance. This was a committee that was established through legislation many years ago, actually. It's been probably more than a decade, which is hard to believe.
It was there when
Yeah, it's maybe 20 years, maybe two decades. But I do think that it's an important committee. It's important dialogue. It's important to have parents at the table, particularly as we discuss really important topics that pertain to students' well-being, overall mental and physical health. So thank you again, Richard. I really appreciate you.
Dr. Harrell?
No, I was just going to add real quick, and you can stay seated. So what's really nice about the plan when we went over it in academics is that'll help inform our board superintendent goals. So it's not a plan that's going to go up on someone else's shelf, right, or in a computer. We're actually going to use that to support the board superintendent goals. So thank you for that work. It'll go a long way. So all of you.
Thank you. Okay, citizens to be heard, do we have, yes?
We do.
Okay, so with citizens to be heard, we believe citizens to be heard is important and meaningful, and we will listen to what you have to say. We value your opinions, although we are restrained by law from taking any action. Please address your remarks to the board, confine your remarks to a Northside policy or practice. Limit your remarks to 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, you will be asked to wrap up your remarks. Do not make any personal attacks on individuals. Thank you. Dr. Kraft?
Yes, ma'am. I only have one individual signed up. Are there any other citizens that would like to fill out a sheet if you haven't done so already? Oliver De La Cruz, the one that is registered to speak to the board.
Hello, my name is Oliver de la Cruz. I'm a 12-year-old and incoming 7th grader. I was born here in San Antonio and have resided in the NISD district all this time. I am zoned for Briscoe Middle School. I have always been homeschooled. I am here today to ask you to opt in to allow homeschool students to participate in extracurricular activities. My parents contacted each board member on June 11th with this request in writing. I am a student athlete. I enjoy various sports including basketball, soccer, and baseball. My favorite sport is basketball. I've been playing organized basketball since I was 4 years old. I like playing basketball because I get to meet new friends who also like playing basketball. I play AAU basketball with Texas United Smoke Chasers. I am proud to represent our city in out-of-town tournaments. This weekend, I will be participating in a national tournament with over 90 sixth grade teams from across the nation. Last year, my team finished third, and we will aim to finish first this year. As a student athlete, my goal is to earn a Division I scholarship. This past season, I attended a Briscoe basketball game. I was surprised by how many people attend the game and how loudly they cheer for the team. After attending the game, I asked my parents to reach out to Coach Dawson to see if he would allow me to try out for the team. I was in the car when he called my mom the next day. I was glad that he was eager to have me on the team. He said that he already reached out to ask if NISD allowed homeschoolers participation and was told no by one of the ADs. He proceeded to talk about what a good academic program Briscoe had and invited us to consider attending. I would like to play for Briscoe and continue to be homeschooled. I want to continue to be homeschooled for many reasons. The most important reason is that I get to be with my family and be taught by my grandmother, Abue. Abue is a retired teacher. She has homeschooled me and my 13-year-old sister since we were in preschool. I am blessed to have the best teacher. Family is very important to me, and I value the time I spend with them. I invite you to be a part of my athletic experience. I work very hard to be a good student athlete and can contribute to NISD teams. I want an opportunity to try out for the middle school team at Briscoe, where some of my friends, including Diego, Isaiah, and Arison, plan to try out for the team. I would love to play with them at Briscoe and represent our community. I think we will make a great team and make the Briscoe community proud. Thank you.
And Oliver, we'll follow up with you. Thank you for your comments. In fact, this agenda item was recently placed on a policy committee, so there'll be further discussion and dialogue in the very near future in regards to UIL and homeschool implications. So we'll be following up.
Thank you, Oliver, for your courageous spirit. Next, we have our consent agenda. Is there a motion?
You can't see.
So move.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that we accept the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. The consent agenda passes. Curriculum and instruction. Dr. Kraft?
Yes, ma'am. We'd like to bring forward the 2024-25 optional flexible school day for Chavez Academy. This was also an item that was discussed in our most recent academic committee, and so I'll let Dr. Jordan briefly present the item, and then we'll try to answer any questions if you have any.
Yes, sir. So we bring this to you every year. We're requesting to apply to operate this optional flexible school day program. And as Dr. Kraft mentioned, it's the Irene Chavez Academy. The purpose of this academy is to improve graduation rates. It's intended for students who are behind academically. They need some credits. They have passed the EOC exam, but it helps, it's a dropout prevention strategy. So this past year at the Academy, we served 237 students and had close to an 80% daily attendance rate, which is really high at a program such as this. The graduation rate in 22-23, remember that's a lagging indicator, but was at 90% of students who are successful. As you know, this program is led by our incomparable Mr. Darren Calvert, who has been at the program for years, and he continues to do great things for the students who attend. So we're requesting approval so that we can submit this application and have a great 24-25 school year.
Trustees, any questions? So we have to vote on it.
Yes, we'd like to, like I say, bring this for your consideration.
Oh,
This
okay.
evening.
Trustee Duran?
Okay, I'd like to, do we vote to move, approve the schedule as requested for the hours of, operating hours for the Chavez Academy as is, they exist currently?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, we shall vote on approving the optional flexible school day for Chavez Academy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All oppose? Thank you. It passes.
Thank you.
Okay, facilities. Leroy San Miguel, his last board meeting. You don't have to smile all the way up.
He's been smiling
A lot.
a lot here the last.
Oh, and
last several
you have
days.
your wife here today.
Back up. She told me, it says, I was at your first board meeting, and I'm going to be at your last board meeting, so, thank you.
It's awesome.
The item we have before you is the discussion about SEA at John Jay. The 2022 bond program provided for the facilities upgrades of SEA at John Jay. Given the complexity of the project, a study of the facility that provides ideas on space layout, utilization of existing spaces, given that we have a surplus classrooms at John Jay, site adaptation and utilization, and investigation of other facility upgrades to enhance safety and security at the campus and other operational types of things, a concept design is the interim phase before we finalize our schematic design. And the schematic design after this will be brought forward for the board to review, and then that would be an approval at that time. We are seeking input on the concepts presented tonight. This item is only for discussion, not approval. Mr. Jerry Lammers and Glenn McGuire of Alamo Architects are here to present us with the concepts. Jerry?
Thank you, Leroy, and good evening, members of the board, Dr. Kraft. As Leroy said, we're here kind of in a pre-stage and concept design. We'll come back for schematic design, but due to the complexity of the project, Leroy felt it would be a great idea for us to come and lay the groundwork for really the next meeting. So the scope of the project in the bond was really just described as new SEA, Science and Engineering Academy, Career Technology Education, and ROTC addition to the project. So the first thing I want to just briefly discuss the existing campus. As you know, we just finished the new auditorium there. So go ahead, Monica. So the existing campus is here. The original campus was built in 1969 is when it opened. And generally, there's been work going on there since its inception. The most recent was this Fine Arts addition right here. Currently, the CTE building is here. There's an ROTC building here. The automotive building is here. And then the SEA is spread out in this wing right here. There's a main entrance right here. There's kind of a temporary, I shouldn't say temporary, but it's the check-in with a, there's no security lobby there. The check-in is controlled by some bollards, basically, and an administrator standing there directing you to check in. So next slide. So the first thing we did was we went out and analyzed every single space at the school and established its function, whether it was used for fine arts, whether it was a general classroom, whether it was used for SEA, all of the functions that you see. The plan that you see here is color-coded to what each of those functions were. Generally, you can tell that the magenta is all fine arts, the purple is science, the dark blue is admin, the brown is the cafeteria, the green, of course, is CTE, and you can see there's some other functions moved in here. Now, one of the things that's still under construction on our fine arts, originally we were going to tear down the band halls, and instead they converted them into special ed classrooms. So they were converted to 6 special ed classrooms, but that construction is still underway and about to be complete. So these are the current uses of all the spaces on the first floor. And then on the second floor, Monica, Monica. You can see it's mostly classroom space, general classroom space. This kind of green color you see here, those are SEA functions, so Science and Engineering Academy functions, and then there's 2 science classrooms. So part of that was just to establish what the spaces were being used for and what would be available when we do our addition when the time comes. So, okay, Monica. So there was a master plan done for the facility in 2021 by Pfluger Architects, and at that time they proposed a roughly 84,000 square foot addition to one side of the school. Now underway, we had under construction or about to start construction the new admin on the other idea. So the overall concept was SEA, CTE on one end, and then the fine arts on the other. All right. So since then, some studies have been done by Resources Management. And what they've shown is that basically there's excess capacity of approximately 38 classrooms at J due to the current school population, the amount of students that are there. So it was originally designed, off the top of my head, for 2,800 students. There's significantly less amount of students there. So what that caused us to do was go back and look at, was it still make a good idea to add still more square footage when you have already excess square footage at the school? So that led us to this, to our concept design. And what we're looking at here is really just boxes of space. So it's quantities of space and where they could go in the school. So what this is showing you is everything you see in green is CTE. So we're still proposing to tear down the CTE building, the one that was built in the early 70s, and the ROTC, but we're going to keep the existing auto shop. Now, it's a good, what we would say has good bones. It's a concrete building, and we would completely gut it and renovate it into the new auto shop and the new body shop. And then take advantage of the excess capacity, principally on the second floor, and I'll show you a plan, and convert those spaces, which are generally classrooms, into CTE functions, which also are generally classrooms. They're just larger and have different functions. And we would do about a 32,000 square foot addition on that building. It would still be substantially smaller than what was originally proposed, but it would give a unique identity to the SEA. So this again is, these colors you see here are boxes of square footage. And so this color here represents the SEA, the purple is science, the green is all CTE, and then this would be the SEA admin. Now, one of the things we would do, go ahead, Monica, is on the first floor, this is what the overall floor plan looks like. So as I mentioned, we were going to propose to tear down these buildings so it expands that parking area. And we're looking at ROTC on the first floor. That may change depending upon function. That's still under discussion, but it would be a 32,000 approximate square footage addition. The other thing we would do in this plan is put in a real security lobby. So with 2 sets of doors with the check-in series of events that takes place. And then on the second floor, convert those classrooms into CTE, SEA, and then there's 3 science classrooms that are devoted to SEA too. So we would be able to reuse the 2 there for SEA, and then the addition would be on the second floor, predominantly SEA. And then one of the functions it has is a robotics arena, basically. It's where they have competitions. So there would be a special place for that on the second floor. So while we were looking at this, the district asked us to take a look at it. When you go into J now, and this was a result of a project we originally did there 20 years ago, was in the old library was converted to admin, which is you have to walk to the back of the building to get to the admin. And there's 2 entrances, main entrances, which was never a problem until we had security lobbies. So there's some confusion about which entrance you should go to. And then once you check in, you've got to go to the back to go to the admin. So we were asked to take a look at that. And our proposal really is to do a new front canopy at the entrance. So redo that canopy, perhaps sympathetic to the one that's here, if you'll go to the next slide. And then looking at it here, so that existing canopy would go away. We would have a new central canopy, next slide, and then create a new main entry. So you would just have one main entry. You would go into a more, a bigger security lobby. The main school admin would be on the left. The SEA admin would be in the right. There'd be no confusion. You could check in and then either go to the SEA or be directed to the rest of the campus. Now, because the admin is an admin area, it could be easily converted to counseling. So we would just do what we're calling a light renovation. It's really just replacing the finishes, new carpet, new paint, and that would easily be converted to counseling. So that's one of the things that, and we'll continue to work on this as we move forward in the project, is do we want to add that scope? Because it wasn't originally in the bond scope. It was really, the bond scope was limited to SCA, CTE, and ROTC. So it would increase our budget and we would add that scope once we get further into the numbers. So next slide, Monica. And then the second floor, there's really no change over what the previous scheme was. All right, so then looking at them both compared to each other, really the difference is the size. You can see the original scope still in line with what the master plan does, even though some of the functions are slightly different. And we would repurpose 28 out of the 38 classrooms. And then if we added the admin, we take up three more classrooms, and of course it has increased square footage. Dr. Duran.
I have a question. Where is the cosmetology?
So that's under discussion right now, and
Because that's a really,
yes,
I love
so-
that department.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're looking at two options. One, now since everyone has to check in, so the best place for it would be right near the entry. So as soon as you check in, someplace right near there. So we're looking at it either over here or in the new building down here in that corner. If it's in the new building, you would still have to go through the building to get there. And that's something when we come back in schematic design.
Yeah, only because sometimes we'll have Saturdays where the community can come and get their hair done, their nails done. And then also the smells, right, with the dyeing, the nails. And so I was worried about that with culinary too, because they're going to be cooking in those kitchens, right? So all of that is the green now. And there's computer labs too for the SEA?
Yes, they have
area?
computer labs and maker spaces and all of that too, so.
Can't wait. Okay, thank you. I do like that you also added the drill pad and color guard, because when you take away the parking lot spaces, that's where they would practice. And they would walk in the rain to their building, so I love that we're connecting the students so they don't have to take the little hike
Right
out
outside
there.
the door.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? David and I were at the building committee, so we've seen all of this, and if there's a way we can afford it, we liked the new concept of having one entrance instead of two.
I had a comment.
Dr. Harrell?
Yeah. So the past few years, John Jay SEA does, they present their project-based learning findings or projects or prototypes, all those kind of things. And one of the comments that, or one of the suggestions I'd like to make, it would mean a little more time, so I don't know when this will be on the board agenda to vote. September. So one of the PBLs, the students were having to design, they had to go through the entire spaces and find spaces for gardens, for instance. That was a lot of the, suggestions. I'm just thinking, because they're used to driving questions around problems, it'd be neat to kind of do this similar presentation with the students as soon as they come in August and get their feedback. Because I also think too, and I know CTE is for this, but as soon as you build something like this in this area, in science, engineering, math, and technology, it's almost out of date. And I would really love to hear their input, especially, do they still want a robotics arena? Maybe they want a submersible robotics, something or other. I don't know, I'm just making that up. But just get student feedback on that.
The answer is yes. We've done that several times. We've done it with the teachers.
Right.
Because they have a good feeling of, we did it for O'Connor when we
Yep.
did the Meet Science. We got the teachers heavily engaged.
Right.
It's not our MO, but I think that given the specialty of this particular, the function of SEA, it's something that we would ask the CTE folks and the teachers to come together. And yes, I have actually presented to the students there as well, and boy, I tell you what, they're pretty inquisitive.
They are, I mean, that's
They're very
their pedagogy, is
And so,
really,
I would think that is absolutely something that we would, it's gonna delay the process a little bit, but it's worth the
Yeah.
delay
Yeah.
because you get input from the users.
yeah,
We did that for art, I believe, and asked them when we did the fine arts as well.
That'd
And
be
we got some
great.
pretty interesting comments back that
Yeah.
we incorporated into the overall scheme. So yes, it's very, very doable, and
Okay.
that's our intent, is to seek some more input.
perfect.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, there's an intern from SEA working on our project at our office.
A student intern? Oh, that's wonderful.
Isabella Garza. Yeah.
Oh, great.
She's actually working on a couple different ideas for the floor plans, so that when we come back in September, you'll see some of her work
Okay,
integrated into our plans.
love it.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you all for letting us have an intern with you.
We have amazing students at SEA. and
incredible.
When I taught animation there, one of the questions was like, when are we gonna get stronger servers? Because they digitize everything. They were recreating the Life of Pi video.
Yeah.
One of the other concepts that we have been talking about, and we have talked to Debbie at CTE, is there's not a space out on the open that kids can have access to various types of functions, i.e. robotics.
Right.
If they want to have a competition, there's really not, they got to go to the parking lot. So one of the things that we're talking about is provide a cover in the back area, kind of a multi-purpose. We've even talked about the idea that we could bring the elementary schools in there and have a little competition with them, and SEA is there, kind of facilitating all of that. So there's some ideas that are floating around that I think are going to be very robust, and the way that we had to rethink the thinking about how we
Yeah.
we push these projects out. So appreciate that comment. Yes, we can make that happen.
You guys are, and it's so needed for recruiting too. Oh,
Yes.
sorry, so needed for recruiting. Great.
And that's
Thank you, Dr. Harrell.
That's a great point as well, and I've mentioned this at the building committee, talking about program choice and recruitment. One of the concepts that we're currently exploring right now is to potentially create an early college high school program at John Jay. So I think that there's definitely a niche, a population. I think that there's a desire with some of our partners, in particular Northwest Vista College, that doesn't really pertain to redesigning the space that Jerry just presented, but just another opportunity that I think we can capture some real interest and suffice a need. So more to come on that front as well.
Thank you, Leroy. Thank you, Jerry.
Wait, Leroy, you need to stand a little longer. Is this your last standing?
This is it.
Oh, Rosie, do you want to come up here? Yes, you've been by his side the whole time. You don't want to?
Some final words?
Final words?
Just thank you all for all the support that you've given me and certainly the department. I can say this, and I know I may be a little redundant, but it's absolutely a blessing that I have a board, this board and previous boards that I had an opportunity to work with, that support everything that we do on facilities and operations. We couldn't do anything. We could not do what we do if we didn't get the support from you guys, and obviously the superintendent as well. And so you guys have been amazing. You work together very well. I've seen it. I've experienced it in other school districts where sometimes a little bit challenging. But, when I come before you and I said, I need $200 million to take our schools and fix them, you said, okay, is that all you need? And what blessing is that a facilities person could not fathom the idea that, So thank you so much for everything that you guys do.
Thank you for your years of service.
We thank you, Leroy, on behalf of the board. Thank you for all the years of service you gave us.
Well done. Rosie, thank you for being patient with us. All those late evenings, he truly was presenting at board meetings.
Okay, budget, Dr. Kraft.
All right, well, so cell phones and the fiscal state of affairs were the two big SLI topics. And this one is one that, as we are closing in on a recommended adoption, we wanted to bring back just one more time to let you see where we are with expenditure. So I'm going to let Renee work through some slides, and then please, like I say, let us know if you have any questions. We're closing in. I know we're going to be receiving praised values here shortly, which is also a big driver. But our fiscal year 25 budget is being refined and getting close, really close. So without further ado, Renee.
In fact, a month from today, July 25th, is when the appraisal districts have to send us our certified values from the 3 counties. So we expect them, if the 25th is a work day, Monday through Friday, then we'll receive them. So there's some components we have to wait for. Again, there's other agencies who have to provide us with information, but we'll cover that. So we'll talk about expenditures. That's all we're going to talk about to kind of let you know where we are with the 3 funds that you'll be considering for adoption: general fund, child nutrition, and debt service. And then just a few words on taxable values. So currently, as of last week, I think, again, this is a work in process. So when we put these presentations together, we have to say, okay, as of right now, what are the expenditures that we expect to be included in the general fund budget? It's just over $1 billion. And of course, the board has approved through the comp plan, GNI, and the FTEs. That is what we are putting together in the budget, general fund budget. So what are the major expenditure increases? You always want to know, well, how is this budget different than last year? Well, certainly the pay raise that the board approved, the growth and improvement of 6.2, which does not include the any positions, and then full-time equivalents or positions is just over 17 million. So those are the big cost drivers that are included in the budget that we are currently putting together. Just a couple more notes on the general fund budget. Not all the board-approved expenditures are going to be included in the proposed budget that the board will see in August, as well as late August when you consider it for adoption. We've said this several times. There are currently 127 full-time equivalent positions that the board has given approval to that we're not going to include in the budget, simply because we know that we are having difficulty, as all school districts are, in filling some of these positions. So we are not going to include that amount of money in the budget, simply because right now it does not appear that we will be successful, nor any district, in getting some of these positions. However, if HR does see an uptick in these positions being filled, then we have the mechanism, which is a budget amendment, to go in and increase the size of the budget. Those 127 positions represent about $6.8 million. So we're not going to include that amount of money in the budget. If we were to, it would just make the deficit that much larger, and then we'd be accused of inaccurate budgeting practices. So there's a lot of push and pull for what expenditures do we really expect to incur during the year. Those 127 positions, we don't expect to. It would be great if we did, on one hand. On the other hand, it's going to add to the deficit by about $6.8 million. Anything else that does not include a full-time equivalent is going to be included, because people need their stuff. So again, if the budget is provided to them, they're going to go on and use those dollars. And again, should Mr. Muir indicate that we are hiring these positions, we have several attempts, not just the 3 or 4 budget amendments that we normally take to this board. We could amend the budget monthly if we wanted. We're not going to. I'm just saying that we can amend the budget as need be to recognize the increase in expenditures. The other fund, child nutrition, right now child nutrition is expecting to have a balanced budget. That is, revenues are going to equal expenditures. And if there are any changes that we have to make throughout the year, again, we will do that through the budget amendment process. The last fund that the board will consider is debt service, which is what we're paying our bonds back. About $175 million, 86 will be budgeted for principal payments, 88 million for interest, and for the last several years, I believe since 2015 or 16, we have budgeted what's called a defeasance amount, which is essentially an amount of money that we are going to include in the adopted debt service budget that's going to allow us to pay off some of our higher interest debt. We don't know what that amount is right now because, again, we've not received our certified values. But once we do, we'll be able to work with our financial consultant, our municipal advisor, actually, and come up with that defeasance amount so we can pay off that debt quicker. So when we put this presentation together, every Monday we receive updated numbers from Bexar County. Back in April-ish, when everybody received their notice of this is what your property value is going to be, everybody started filing protest because if they didn't like the fact that their house was valued at 20% more than it was the year before, limited by, of course, the homestead and the 10% cap. But nonetheless, you have two numbers you get from Bexar County and from the other two counties as well, Bandera and Medina. The number that they have from a preliminary perspective is not under ARB review, Appraisal Review Board. Anything that's under ARB is somebody's filed a protest. So as that department, the appraisal district, is working through these protests, they're coming off of under ARB, Appraisal Review Board, and going onto the rolls at maybe 80 cents on the dollar. So we're seeing this change in the value that is eventually going to land on July 25th when they're going to give us our certified values. So that number is now just over 5%. So we've lost about 1% in estimated values in just a couple of weeks because of what's happening with protests and how many protests are being granted and so on and so forth. So when we receive those certified values, we do not use those to build the budget around. We simply use those now, at least since 2019 under House Bill 3. We have to use certain numbers from the appraisal district's certified values to calculate our MCR or our maximum compressed rate. That's the M&O rate that the board will consider for approval, plus the 5 golden pennies. So we have to go through this calculation using the certified values. But again, we do not use those numbers because the number that you receive in July does nothing but go down in August and September and October and November for a myriad of reasons. So if we were to budget around that higher number, we would not realize all the tax revenue because that number just goes down. So we also have to work with our financial consultant to come up with a really good estimate of what, at the end of the day, are going to be our taxable values that we can guarantee that we're going to be able to collect those dollars on. So that's another component that we have to work through during this time of the year. And this is to be continued throughout the month of, the rest of this month, and then July. It becomes very procedural, putting everything together, making sure that we do everything that is prescribed by law as far as calling for the public hearing and all the other things we have to do. So a lot of the work has been done by the board in this case, which is to allow the superintendent and staff to have those expenditures, which we are going to include in the budget, and we're putting that together. So it's in the oven right now. So every so often we open it up and see what it looks like, but eventually we'll put all that together. And then probably in early August, right about the time that we know what our MCR is, we'll do a mechanism by which a superintendent can say, well, let's send it in a Friday letter about what we think the budget is going to look like that you'll be considering for approval in late August, and for all 3 budgets.
Thank you, Dr. Barajas. Anybody have questions for him? Thank you so much. The next, the administration part, the policy, we're going to eliminate for today because we were not able to have our policy committee meeting on Monday. So we're not gonna have any policy reading today. Dr. Kraft, do you want to talk to us about the resolutions?
Yes, ma'am. So under the TASB advocacy resolutions, just as a reminder, I think you have the final clean version from May 28th. Just wanted to close any loop. We did reach out to Kelly Rosti. She reviewed, of course, she's now with TASB, Executive Director for Intergovernmental Relations. Felt like they looked great, so they have been submitted. So if there's anything else that the board would like to consider or take a look at with the resolutions. Like I say, we can make a phone call and make that happen, but I just wanted to close that loop based upon the last conversation we had in putting those together and finalizing and then ultimately submitting to TASB.
Dr. Hall, was there anything new at SLI that you all came up with, or?
No, and we'll have another legislative meeting in about 3 weeks in El Paso, so we'll know more. But I know there was talk about, oh doggone, we just sent in our resolutions, and now there's talk of having 10 commandments. Oh doggone, you know, so I know it's like as soon as this goes to TASB, it's oh doggone. So we'll, you know, this is good for now.
We'll work through it.
Yeah, we always do, so, but thanks for asking, and more to come in July.
Okay, looks like we're getting ready to go into executive session at 7:20. The Board of Trustees on June the 25th, 2024, beginning at 7:59 p.m., will convene an open meeting. Is there a motion?
I motion that we approve what happened in executive session.
The administrative recommendation.
Administrative recommendations.
This is under item 14.
Item 14 on the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the items from section 14 that are the administrative recommendations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We have approved the recommendation of the administration. If there is no other business, the board ended its meeting at 8 p.m. on June 25th, 2024.